Hello everyone, my name is Arnaldo, or you may recognize me as H. Molnaldo. I hope you're all well. I decided to make this video a while back to go over the deck as well as some matches. I feel like recently more people have been wanting to try the deck out, and hopefully this video helps you to do so. So starting off, I am running 7 of the Nami searchers combined between the OP-12 and EV-02. The reason I am running 7 and I am not running Kureha is just because I wanted to make the deck a bit more consistent. So I decided to replace Kureha with more Namis, just because having that extra search or extra card that you can see in each search, although it doesn't sound like much, it helps a lot with consistency of the deck. And we also have the EBO1 blocker chopper. It's an excellent card that helps with many of the matches like Bonnie to get help through their defense, like whenever they play their 8 cost kid. It helps you just go for game, as most of the time they drop to 0 life to try to defend the kid. It makes getting through that wall a lot easier. And we also have the EVO2 chopper, which I do run as a 4 off. It helps in matches like UP Luffy, just because whenever you get that on play and you get that additional don to give out to one of your characters or your leader, it helps to maybe get that extra 6k swing into your opponent. And it's very helpful just because it also helps make her luck turn a lot more efficient, just because it's just another chopper character on the board. We also have the OP-04 chopper, which on play you can play a 3k or less power character from your hand, which it can be either the EBO2 chopper or hiking bear or lapins. So most of the time I either play the chopper to get that extra don and swing for higher, or play lapins depending on the match. I normally don't play hiking bear just because he is a 2k and we don't run too many 2ks on this deck. I only have 10 2ks, but also just because I find myself most of the time not swinging with hiking bear, so I would just rather preserve the counter in my hand. And we also have the OP-08 chopper, the searcher chopper, which this is pretty much the heart of the deck. It's a must-see card to get the deck going. That's why we run so many searchers. We have 11 searchers between the Namis and the searcher events, so it's pretty much a must-see card in this deck to be able to get the flow going and apply pressure to your opponent. As I mentioned, we have just 2 hiking bear. It's just a 2k counter most of the time, but also it's another target for either the searcher chopper or the searchable event, just to make sure that we don't whiff. Having at least that extra target helps us to apply more pressure. We also have Lapins. So Lapins is a great card. It's a bit rough to, let's say, defend. It's a 3k character, but also it's definitely helps to fill the board using this chopper, the OP-04 chopper. But the reason I run it as a 4 off is because I find it very useful against Rayleigh. So going against Rayleigh is definitely one of the toughest matchups. So Lapins definitely helps to control the board, so you can focus on going for life. As Rayleigh being a 5 life leader, it can get very difficult to close out the game, so you don't have to worry about the board as much, just because Lapins helps you to control it a little bit more. We also have Dr. Herlock. This is definitely one of the best cards in the deck. It helps to close out games as it gives a 2k boost to all your chopper characters, and late game this is very useful. Let's say their opponent can have a lot of counter in their hand, and just for a 3 don you can boost your whole board if they're all chopper characters, and then with the leader effect you can give out those 3 dons that you use to play him to your characters, which essentially makes it for free that you're just boosting your characters. So it's very efficient, and on top of that is also a 2k counter, so even if you don't play it for the boost, it's still a good counter for your characters or leader. In addition to that, we have the Rush Luffy from Starter Deck 21. So this Luffy is very good in this deck, just because the fact that he is a 5 cost rush card that also gives a rested Dawn. Combined with the leader's effect, you pretty much play this 5 cost 6k rusher for just 1 Dawn, depending on your board state. So you can give out 3 rested Dawn plus the Luffy's Dawn. That's 4 out of the 5 that you just use to play him, and just helps apply more pressure. And we also have the EBO2 Nami, which is pretty much the same searcher as the OP-01 Nami, just that it's a green card. And we have the OP-02 Chopper. This is pretty much it's a searchable 2K. The fact that he's a 2K body, it's very difficult to find the Dawn to be able to swing with him. However, it's very useful because of his effect in matches against, for example, Rayleigh. Again, it helps to control the board. You can rest, for example, their searchers or Boa as well, and be able to control a little bit more and make sure that they don't get as much value from the searchers as they normally do. But most of the time, it's just a 2K counter that you can find with your Nami searchers, or you can play it off as a body from the searcher event or the searcher chopper. And we also have the OP-09 Odyssey Chopper. This is one of the best cards in the deck, just because it helps with one of the main issues of the deck, which is trying to maintain your board and that your opponent doesn't starve your hand. With his effect that he's able to restand on the end of the turn, every single turn, it helps in many of the matches that otherwise can be very difficult. For example, Zoro, it helps to maintain the board so that you can later on replace characters with your searcher event and play around the leader's effect, or you can use him against Enel to make sure that he can just swing at your board and just KO everything while he's trying to starve you. So definitely this is one of the prime characters that you want to find with the searcher chopper or searcher event, and just want to make sure that he sticks on the board. Now we're on to the events. I only run 6 events, and they are the searcher event, which is very useful to be able to maintain the pressure against your opponent and be able to maintain your board. So it is very important to run as a 4-off, just because you want to make sure that your board is always full with characters. And we also have the Dead Man's Game. This is most of the time just used to close out games, but it also helps you counter, and also in some of the matches you can use it to just clear your opponent's board, and try to control a little bit while also going for life. So definitely it's a multi-use card, and it's also searchable with your Nami searchers as well. So that's pretty much it for my list. So going forward, we're going to be going over a few of the matches to see how the deck performs. So here we go against Marco. I decided to mulligan the first hand. Didn't have much playable characters. Second hand isn't too good either, but at least we have one searcher, we have counter, and we have the restand chopper. In worst case scenario, we can play the restand chopper. Since we don't find our searcher chopper, I decided to take the rush Luffy, just because he fits the curve perfectly. So here on my second turn, I can just swing for 5 and play the restand chopper, and just hope that he survives to be able to apply pressure the next turn by playing out the rush Luffy and being able to attack 3 times. Also, most of the cards we have currently are just counter. So here, first life, I just take to be able to try to find my searcher chopper and be able to fill out the board and apply a little bit more of pressure. So since we don't find the searcher chopper, we just go ahead, play Luffy, use leader effect to give a rested Dawn to chopper, swing 5 with him, and then go ahead, swing 6 with Luffy, go 1 rested on the leader, and swing 6 2 times to get rid of some of the 2Ks in the hand and be able to apply more pressure going forward. And we just restand our chopper so that we can better protect our board and make it harder for them to attack our board. So here the opponent just plays blocker Dofi. He's just seeing the top cards of his deck, so at least that helps me know that I am going to keep some of the characters on my board. So he just minuses my Luffy with his leader effect and just goes ahead and swings into it. So since we have a lot of counter and we don't have much cards to play, I just go ahead and counter out. I'm most likely not going to be able to use her looks because I don't have a good amount of choppers to play out, so I just counter with them. Searcher Nami gives out the Searcher Chopper, so we go ahead, play that. I play the EB-02 Chopper just to get that extra Dawn and be able to apply more pressure. That's most likely whatever I would play out is just going to be KO'd. I decide not to play the OP-04 Chopper and get the value from the unplay. Here, this is pretty much a misplay on my part. I should have swung 7 with the Luffy and then 7 with my leader. But since they took it, it doesn't really matter at that point. Now we just pass with 2 up. I don't really have plans on using the Dead Man's Game. It was just because of the misplay. But I wanted to leave one out to be able to use the Searcher event. So here my opponent KOs my Rush Luffy with the New Gate. I think the better option would have been to KO my Searcher Chopper and just swing into the Luffy. But I guess that he didn't do so just because he feared the higher attack character. But it would have helped to control a little bit more on my board. So here we just go ahead, and I'm debating if either playing the blocker chopper or not. But since I am going to be replacing something on my board, I am not sure if I should just invest a Dawn and swing higher. So I just go ahead, swing 5 with Nami to test the waters and see what happens. And then I just go ahead, I just play the chopper out to be able to have something to attack with next turn. Use leader effect and go ahead and replace Nami with the only target I could, being the film chopper. And just go ahead and swing 6 to life to either get more 2Ks out and just continue to apply pressure. I keep on swinging 6s just because the opponent has already given us a lot of 2Ks, so he most likely doesn't have any more. And I am sure that I'm not going to KO the New Gate, so I just ignore it for the time being. Here the opponent got a trigger. He was debating as to use it or not. He ended up using it, which is Fire Fist, kills a 5 careless character. And I think the only target right now was either the blocker or the film chopper. And I swing 6, he gives me 0 cost event, which confirms that he didn't have any 2Ks. So here pretty much we're good. We have the Dead Man's Game, so if he plays any blockers, we can just rest him and go all in for life. Or if he leaves any dawns up for events, like he played Radical Beam earlier in the game, we can just play around it as well. So opponent decides to play Sanji into Rayleigh, try to control a little bit of my board. So he KOs the Searcher Chopper and then swings into OP-04 Chopper. And with New Gate just KOs my Restand Chopper. But right here I can just swing all in and opponent just gives the win. So here we're going against Enel, which is one of the worst matches for Chopper, but we have a really good opening hand with 1 Searcher Nami as well as 2 Searcher Choppers. We don't really worry too much about counter in this match because Enel doesn't swing against Chopper because he wants to starve us, so we don't worry about that until later on in the game. What the game plan is pretty much to do small swings and be able to fill our board as quickly as possible and try to maintain it so that whenever he's at 1 life we can do multiple swings back to back and try to reduce his hand size. Unfortunately, he played the Kuzan, which adds one of our choppers to life, and we have to toss a card out. I tossed the 2K because it's the least playable card right now. And I don't really mind too much getting rid of the counter because I'm not going to use it until later in the game. So here we just swing 5, they take, they trigger veggie on our V-stand chopper. So we just go ahead, play the searcher chopper, and we just pass. I don't want to swing with my board anyway because I want to maintain it. So here I give out a 2k to protect the chopper just because I want him to swing with the cooldown. So I can then swing into it to see if he gives me more counter from his hand. So here they just go ahead, they just red 6, play Kuma and heal, which is fine. We're not going to swing into the Kuma anyway. And we just go ahead and try to just keep poking and see if we can get more cards out of their hand. So we just go ahead, play the blocker chopper, keep on trying to fill the board out, and we swing into Kuzan to be able to get cards out of their hand. They counter with a 2k, which is perfect. So we just keep on going, swinging into the Kuzan, and just poking at the life to get more cards out. So here I just pass. I don't swing out life because I don't want them to trigger any KOs at this point, and just wipe my board. Now here we just give out a 1k so that we can preserve at least a bit of our board and they don't keep on KOing everything. Unfortunately they do play cat, so our board suffers a little bit here and we're almost out of cards in hand. So I just go ahead, I swing with Nami, keep poking. We don't swing at the Kuma because they're just going to heal, which is what we don't want. So we just go ahead and keep swinging 5s to see if either they give us cards from their hand or they take the life. I decide to not swing with the OP-12 chopper because I'm not going to get him to 0 life at this point. So I just go ahead and do 1/6 to see if he gives me a 2k, and he just takes life. However, I decide to not go for life because he'll just heal next turn and I will be going to lose the character. So I just try to refill the board, play the blocker chopper, and just pass with 1 up because I don't really have anything else to do. So we don't mind getting rid losing the Nami. That's too much stun investment to swing with it. So we just do it whenever we don't really have other options, and we try to get rid of cards in the hand. So opponent plays Yamato, KOs our blocker chopper. So again, we just swing 5, try to get cards out of the hand. In this case, you can swing another 5 with the restand chopper just because he restands, so you don't lose the attack. However, I was thinking about playing the Luffy or not because I didn't want to go all in, considering that I could lose my board next turn, and I was very high on life, so I wasn't going to lose anytime soon either. So I just swung 6 with the restand chopper, try to get cards out of their hand. So he just gives me a 2k counter. So I just go ahead and pass and restand my chopper. So opponent plays another Katakuri and gets rid of our restand chopper, which is very unfortunate. However, at this point the opponent decides to swing, so we just go ahead, we take some hits here so that we can replenish our hand and at the same time replenish our board, which is very low right now. So I just take all the hits. I have counter in my hand, so I don't worry about losing next turn either way. So I just go ahead, play Nami, I find a searcher chopper. So I just go ahead and fill my board here so I can set up for next turn. Considering that the opponent has a very big board and he swung last turn, he most likely wants to go for game next turn. So I just prepare to go for game next turn, considering that I survive. So I just swing 5 here to get some cards out of their hand and go ahead and fill out the board. So I play Searcher Chopper to find Blocker Chopper, and then I play the Restand Chopper, which I was also debating on playing my second Restand Chopper. However, I wanted to keep Dawn up to use the Dead Man's Game to counter and not have to get rid of their Herlux. So I decided to just pass here. Although I was really debating on playing the Chopper, I figured that I didn't have much counter on my life either. So I just decided to pass here and hope that my opponent just goes for game and I can go for game next turn. So here my opponent is debating either probably playing a 10 cost or just going for game. So he swung 7 with leader, so that means he's not playing anything that can heal him pretty much, unless he plays like a Katakuri and heals the Kuma or the Katakuri. So I was debating if either taking this to make him commit to the lethal. However, I decided to counter the first one because I didn't want to counter with the Herlux. So countering the first one makes it easier to be able to counter later on with all the 1Ks that I'm going to be getting and just keep the Herlux in my hand. So here I just keep taking all the hits. Opponent is splitting the Dawn, swinging 10 every single swing. So I just take all the hits and just counter the last one. So here they went 10 with Cat, they swing 10 with the Yamato, and they leave 2 up for another 10 with the other Katakuri. So we just take everything, and for the last 10 we just give the Dead Man's Game and counter with all the 1Ks to get to 11, so that we can preserve our Herlux to be able to go for game next turn. So here we have our board full of Chopper, which is the best scenario possible. So we just go ahead, play Herlux, plus 2k to all Chopper characters, play another Herlux, same thing. So that's plus 4, leader effect, give out 3 Rested Dawn. Now all Chopper characters are 9Ks. We go for 9, and the opponent takes. He uses his leader effect to be able to heal again. So we do another 9 with the Searcher Chopper just to see if we get the EBO2 Chopper, which we do. So we give out Rested Dawn to my leader, be able to swing higher with leader. So here, opponent seems to get a trigger. He got a Veggie. He freezes one of the 9K swings. So we just go ahead and do another 9K and prepare to swing 10 with our leader to go for game. Opponent counters out of the 9K, then we go 10, and that's it. So here we go against Lucci, one of the worst possible matches as well. So back-to-back bad matches. Our opening hand is excellent, going first. We can play Nami. We find a second Searcher Chopper, so we go ahead and take that. It's very important to keep filling out board. We even find our third Searcher Chopper, which is pretty crazy, pretty high roll at this point, into the Restand Chopper, so that's perfect to keep on maintaining our board. So at this point we can apply a lot of pressure. We already have 2 units to swing with. However, at this point we are going to be losing our Searcher Chopper as well as our Nami, and we only have the Restand Chopper. However, we go ahead and we play another Searcher Chopper because we want to make sure that we keep filling out the board. Here I was debating on playing Lopins or the Blocker Chopper. However, they were going to swing into it either way, so I chose the higher attack character to make them either commit Dawn to swing for higher or just get the attack from the Lucci character. And we go ahead and we swing 6. Just because Lucci normally doesn't play too many 2Ks, I prefer going 6 to life to be able to get them to either give me the 2Ks that they use to reduce costs or just take the life or double 1K. So here we're pretty much good because our opponent doesn't have trash, so they're not going to be playing another Lucci most likely. And if they play like a Brook, for example, they have to use a lot of resources to minus, for example, their Tashigis, their Surus, because they don't have trash to play the Tempest Kick. So they just go 6 at life. We just take, I don't mind taking too many hits here just because they're just going to be keep swinging out my board most of the time. So I'd rather have the counter for my board. So we have here two characters to swing. I decided to play the Searcher Chopper here just to keep on filling the board. We get another V-stand chopper, which is perfect here. And here we swing another 6 to play around the blocker Sabo and also to get some 2Ks from the hand. And they give us one of the 2Ks. So here we go 7-7 to either get more cards from their hand or get more 2Ks or the blocker. And we end up finding our third V-stand chopper, which is perfect here, just because it makes it harder for our opponent to play around our board. They have to KO with effects, they just can't swing into it, so it makes it a lot better to keep that board stayed up. So here our opponent gave us 2Ks, he took another life, so here we're pretty good. We just counted this first 5 to make sure that our opponent gets focus on our board and not our life. Because we're already 2 life, we just want to counter. Here I decide to counter as well, just because I just know that he's just going to KO 1 or 2 characters. So I make sure to counter out all of the swings that I can to help preserve that board state. And here we also have either 2 options for next turn. We can go ahead, play the Rush Luffy, and go give our characters almost all the rested dons that we use to play him. Or we can go ahead, and since we have our board full of choppers, we can play Herlock and try to go for game, considering that our opponent doesn't have much counter probably, since we have been swinging 6s. They probably don't have many 2Ks at this point, and they will have to probably give us the blocker Sabo as well. So here our opponent plays Jack, he filters his hand, he kills one of the Searcher Choppers. However, most of the board is still intact, so we just go ahead, and since we have a 2K that just got in our hand, we go ahead and we play the Herlock, just because our opponent will have, if he survives 3 swings, so they all have to connect. So I just go ahead, play the Herlock and go for game, swing 7. Don't get much from this search, so I just go ahead and play the only option that is available and replace the Herlock, just so I can have something to swing with next turn if necessary. Unfortunately, our opponent triggers the Tempest Kick and KOs one of our choppers, which is unfortunate, so we just invest more Dawn, swing 8, and the opponent takes. The opponent already is at 0 life, 1 blocker. He has quite a few cards in hand, but most likely they're almost all bricks. So we just swing 8 with the V-stand chopper and prepare to swing 9 with leader. So our opponent is debating here. He blocks with Sabo and counters, which just lets me know that he didn't have the counter for the 8, and we just go all in and we get it as well. So that's pretty much it for the deck. I think it's very fun. Chopper is one of my favorite characters, so I always try to make it work depending on the meta that we have. So I really look forward to seeing your feedback on it. I hope that you give it a shot, you try it out, and let me know how it goes. And hopefully more people get into playing this deck, so hopefully Bandai gives it more support later on. And feel free to let me know how you like it and any suggestions that you may have for any modifications that you think that can help the deck improve. Thank you all.